Hello and welcome to the Alexandra Wenman Show. I'm very excited to introduce you to my guest today, Cindy Currie. She is an innate healer, an activator and a naturopath, and she lives right near my hometown. She's in sunny Australia. Hi Cindy, thank you for joining me today.
Hi Alex, thank you for having me. I'm blessed to be here. Thank you.
I love it, and you've got the color scheme is perfect for this show.
It's channeling you.
It's channeling me. You look so angelic and ethereal. I love it, and I love the fairy lights. I can feel like we were just doing a little blessing and tune in, and I'm already feeling like really beautiful, clear energy here, and like lots of yeah, it just feels really crystalline, I think is the word for the energy here. Just for our viewers, honey, can you tell people a little bit more about what you do and how it works?
Sure. So my work is primarily in taking an individual, looking at their energetic matrix. So what's going on for them in their emotional traumas, their emotional blocks, their chakra system, seeing how that manifests down into their environment, so their external environment and their internal environment, and then looking at them on a naturopathic level. So their cellular frequency, their physical body, and really seeing how each interplays and interconnects with each level, because I feel if I'm just looking at one of those levels, I'm band-aiding somebody, and that's not my thing. I'm really devoted about getting into the root cause of someone's condition, or as I call it, a dis-ease. And so it really looks at those three levels. Spirit is matter, matter is spirit, and we have to look at all levels. So that's my primary work. What I do like to do with everyone is to actually integrate and activate their own innate healer so that they can become their own remedy, right? So that they don't have to just keep band-aiding themselves and sabotaging themselves over and over and over again, so that we can get to the root cause of their disease, give them the tools that they need to be their own remedy, and some support at that level that they need on the physical body, so that they can actually rise into their gloriousness and be the most grandest expression of themselves that they can be. That's everything that I love to do and do day after day. Yeah.
That's like, okay, interview's done now. You've said it all. Perfect.
And I do like to talk.
Brilliant. What guided you to get into all of this? How did it all start for you?
Well, I used to be in a very high-profile position in the country with one of the top sports, and my role was to integrate females into a male-dominated area. And even though I was very good at what I did, there was just always this inner calling that it was not in alignment with what I wanted to do. And when I had my daughter 15 years ago, I just said to the universe, that's it, I'm done, I'm quitting my job, show me what it is that I need to know. And over the time, that's when I started studying naturopathy, and over the time, all of these little markers have come in every time I say, show me what I need to know. And for me, that's been one of the biggest tools that I use every day, is show me what I need to know, show me what I need to know. And without fail, every single time, I'm guided into seeing something different every single day when I ask that question. And it also really came about when my physical body started to show me things that, hey, you're not in alignment here with energy, you're not in alignment with vitality, you're not in alignment with wellness, what's going on? And already having studied the body and exercise physiology, and then also now naturopathy, I knew that the two had to come together. I also studied with you, Alex, and that brought in everything to be the whole deal, right? Body, mind, spirit. And over the time, my yearning to learn and see everything that I don't know has actually brought me into being a very disciplined student to my heart center. And that's how my work's evolved. It's all from a heart-centered space. And without that, we're always searching outside of ourselves for the answers and getting further and further away from the one. Yeah. So that's how I ended up into where I am. Yeah.
You have a very strong intuition as well, don't you, honey? I think you've always had that. So you do follow that inner guidance and that inner calling. Did you have that ever since you were a child?
When I think back and put myself in my child's space, I know that I did things that were very different to my friends, or very different to what was the social norm, but I at the time didn't understand it. But I just knew that it wasn't going to serve me, and so I didn't step myself into that world. I've always done things left of centre. I've been called all those funny things that take you well away from the norm, and I'm so okay with it. And in fact, I love that. But as the child, I didn't understand it, so I just thought that there was something not quite right, you know. But I still had that inner knowing and that inner desire to not enter into those different spaces. And the intuition that I now know to be mine, I use every single day, and I'm guided from that every day. That is the essence of who I believe we are, is being able to trust that and then act upon it, and know that no matter what the outcome may or may not look like, that if we're trusting the intuition and we're acting upon it, it has our highest good in sight.
Modern medicine in the way that it is today, what do you feel needs to happen here? Because obviously we're seeing, I know that from my experience in my practice and in my personal life, I've seen modern medicine is failing a lot of people in the way it stands today. I mean, it's failed me in a personal situation, which I've spoken about on here. It's failed others of my clients, where they've just been basically told, this condition is undiagnosable or whatever, or you don't have long to live and we can't do anything now, or, you know. And then I'm seeing so many amazing success stories of people that have gone down the complementary route. My throat's going now. Going down the complementary route and the energetic route, and taking this more holistic approach. But what do you think we need to do in order to sort of get the ball rolling for these two worlds to come together?
I believe modern medicine, in the way that we know it, is not yet aware that spirit is the same thing. And it's in that where we can't, if we're in the practitioner's mind, that we're only in one lane, right, and that we're only in the one form of treating or diagnosing, that we can never really change the cellular frequency to create a different outcome, to get a different frequency for the body to heal itself, because we only know how to put something into a box. And for humanity to really heal, we need to understand that medicine is more about the things that we can't see and less about the things that we're told we have to do. And that for me, I think, is where, and if we ever got the opportunity to change medicine, that it'd be more on the frequency side of things. It'd be more about understanding the frequency that created the condition in the first place. And then what do we have to do, to support it, yes, from a mineral perspective, so the cellular, what the cell needs, but also from the energetic perspective. What does that person need to do for themselves or their life or their environment or their heart or their relationship or their family to create a different outcome? And these outcomes, these changes, they're radical changes that people need to put in place in order to get the different shift. But I don't feel like modern medicine gets that. It's just, this is what you're showing, this is what you're presenting with, here's the Band-Aid that goes with it, and hopefully you'll be okay.
What I definitely agree with that. And what I'm finding is, you know, what we know is that every single human being we're emotional beings first, right? And our emotions, and where we hold our trapped emotions in our cells and our subconscious programming, it does account for a lot. I'm seeing a lot of people now going in and looking at those other facets of themselves, because we've always been taught to suppress your emotions, don't get upset, don't get angry, you know, don't cry, keep it all in, be happy all the time. And as we know, you and I know, that goes somewhere. It doesn't just go away. It gets stored, and, you know, a lot of the times it comes out in illness or in discomfort. And I think also something that's been lost in modern medicine, from my perspective and from my opinion, is the humanness of care. And I'm seeing a lot more, especially over here in the UK where we have the NHS, is first of all, the system isn't caring for the doctors and the nurses and the people who work within the system. I'm seeing a lot very stressed people. It's a very high stress environment for the workers. And I even met a really lovely nurse yesterday, and it was like she didn't see me until I had a mole removed, had to get some stitches out. It was literally like she didn't have eye contact with me until I kind of took the time to look her in the eyes and say, how's your day? And she lit up like a Christmas tree. And she was like, and because of that, the level of care I then received from her was amazing. So this interaction, this humanness needs to come back. Now, you've met my dad, obviously, Dr. Wenman in Australia, and he and I have many conversations like this. And I have another friend who's a doctor in Sydney, a rheumatologist, and she and I've had conversations like this as well. And these two are both old school doctors, where they do believe that humanness and actually care is necessary. A bedside manner is necessary. And when I was first studying all of this, I'd say to my dad, he'd be like, what's this mumbo jumbo that you're doing, And I said, it's actually really simple, Dad. It's love. And when you see your patients, do you just tick a box? Or, how do you feel they heal? And he said, oh no, you have to care. You have to take care of them, because that's the biggest part of healing. And he himself has seen so much evidence of that over the years. And now I have a friend in Sydney who's in charge of training all the new doctors coming through, and she wants to know more about this holistic approach. So I'm seeing really positive changes sneaking through, but I'm also seeing the flip side, where you're almost being dealt with by robots, these people that are just, I guess, seeing the patient as a box to tick, and seeing a symptom and not seeing the whole picture. And as we know, we are so unique and individual that you can't have a one-size-fits-all answer to things. You can't have a one-size-fits-all solution with people, because the body is so complex. So can you just describe to us a little bit about what happens in a session with you, and how you sort of bring that holistic approach into your work?
Sure. So the very first time I meet someone, I like to talk for about 2 hours. We go through every single part of their world, their emotions, their traumas, their infections, their whole heart's history, their whole body's history. And then that takes about 2 hours, and we do some physical diagnostics. So we do iridology, and we do a bit of Chinese medicine, tongue analysis, fingernail analysis, stuff like that, skin analysis. And then the last hour that I have with someone the first time they meet me is we just move into a complete energetic healing, where we use sound, chakra balancing with crystals, angelic Reiki, prayer, so that I also get to understand that person, not just from their physical body and their heart space, but from their energetic space as well. And that's where the intuition and the angels and the protections and the calling in of the archangels mainly is who I work with, and Kuan Yin, coming in and actually helping and sharing that space with me, and my higher self, of course, to be there in that space. And then, so that's the first time I meet someone. So that generally takes about 3 hours to 3.5 hours. And that's where that care and that love comes in, Alex, that you spoke of, because I feel like I'm doing my patient a disservice if I'm not giving them everything that I can to help them understand their cause, not just symptom, band-aid them with a symptom. And then as a follow-on from that, it really just is an understanding and a maintenance type approach, where they do medicine and they do more healing. And also we use functional medicine, especially if there's some chronic diseases that come through. I need to understand really what's happening at that physical cellular level too, so I can help heal them from that level. Because if you don't have energy, right, you're tired. If you're not moving, you're rusting and falling apart. So they're really two principles that I work very closely with. And the more energetic and vital you are, the less you're rusting and falling apart. And that's really, really the dynamic of life. So as long as my patients are getting more vital and more energy, and they're getting less rust, less resistance and less fatigue, then we're on the right track.
So we're not all rusty buckets falling into pieces, right?
We can get there through no fault of our own, and then through a lot of fault of our own. But it's understanding and identifying, well, here we are, and what can we do to get back out of there.
Can you tell me a little bit more about your perspective on sound healing? We had an article in the UK this morning about a GP recommending that singing be part of everybody's healing program. And I know I use a bit of sound and light language in my healings. And more recently, actually, this is interesting, I've taken up singing lessons, and I'm doing classical singing training, and I'm learning with an opera singer. And she said to me, now she's a former opera singer, and she now trains people, teaches people, but she's very intuitive. And she actually said to me, you can't really be an opera singer and not be sort of spiritually aware or intuitively aware. She said singing brings your stuff up, right? Because it's vibration and it's sound. And I loved hearing that from even her perspective, right? She's quite a spiritual lady, but she said you have to, because you need to feel the energy of the voice and the room around you. A lot of it is intuitive. Now, I've found since I've been working with her, so much has come up, but so much more has come through in terms of my own power, my voice. I'm seeing my voice has changed, but even my confidence, my speaking of my truth. And from my perspective, I think sound is so key, because it almost is the first thing that anchors our presence here on the earth. It's like it brings our essence into form. So what have you discovered in your journey with sound healing? Any amazing insights you could share?
I think the first thing for me is sound is a way that you can really affect change on the frequency of the body and the frequency of the energy space around you without having to really do anything. You know, it's almost like this perfect cheating window, but it's so divinely orchestrated, because you can just be immersed in sound and you can change the way you feel without having to think about anything, without having to go into any type of meditation, without having to take any type of medicine. It changes the cellular frequency in a way that, in my experience, not too much other things can. And I've had a lot of experience with sound healing. I collaborate with one of the biggest sound healers here in Australia a lot here. And what we find is that even those that are a little bit unsure about stepping into the world of what we would call something other than what they know, they have this incredible awakening in that moment without even asking, or without expecting. It just is, because the sound can permeate at levels that I believe we can't. And in healing, every sound wave has a different resonance, of course, or a different hertz, we call it, and those different hertz correspond with different things that the body would need or not need. And it's really purely intuitively guided. Like, you can read so much about this sound is for this and this sound is for that. But like anything, and like crystals, it's really about the intuition that comes up in that moment as to what you need for what. So my work uses a lot of sound just for the chakra system and what that person might need in terms of bringing together an alignment of spirit to matter and matter to spirit. Yeah. So I love it. I love it. And I would love to hear you sing classical one day, Alex.
Oh, God. I don't know if I'm there quite. So are you working with children as well, Cindy? Do you do some work?
I do. Yeah, I do. I work with a lot of children, and they're beautiful. You know, I have the adults come in for a healing work, and they'll lay on the table and they're like, I'm ready. And the little kids will come in and they're like, I'm ready. And I'm chasing them around the table, and we're putting crystals all over their bodies, and, you know, and they're looking at all the cards. It's a very different energy. But what I notice is the children that I tend to bring into the practice are the ones that their nervous systems and their energy is so scattered that even something very simple and gentle in the realm of energetic healing can create such a huge effect. So simplicity creates enormity, right? And then on the medicine side, we just work very, very gently with children, and everything really needs to be done in a food form, because if it's not coming out of the earth, then why are we doing it? So I really, with our children especially, like to nurture them through the earth's food and the earth's vibration, and if it's required, we would do some sort of supplemental minerals or something like that, depending on the person, depending on the disease. But yes, children are a big part of my world and a big part of my practice.
I know. I think a lot of very sensitive and very old soul children coming through recently, right? I'm seeing so many of them now in my own practice, but also just in the world around. You see they have this wisdom, and there are so many of them that don't actually fit into the system, you know, the old system that we were put through, you know. I feel that that's actually very, it makes me feel hopeful for the future. You know, we see this little Greta walking around the planet striking for climate change and things like that, and they really are, if you're from such a tiny age now, saying what they think. I have a nephew, Remy is a law unto himself, and he is 8, and you cannot tell that kid what to do. You know, even from when he was tiny. No, he will go his own way. He will do his own thing, and he's a total rainbow child. And the visions, like the things that come out of his mouth, he knows stuff. I was giving him a lesson in chakras last time I was home, and he knew it all. He knew it all already. It was just amazing. And we had this whole conversation about, you know, I did a little visualization sort of thing with him. I was like, right, if you could imagine there was a wall in front of you, what would it look like? And he was, you know, just going, well, it's, you know, it's a high wall. It's very high and it's very old, but there's a beautiful, big, ancient arched doorway. And I said, oh, what if you could walk through the doorway? Well, there's this magical garden. And he goes, but Ali, beyond that, there's another world and another world and another world and another world. And he goes, and what's interesting, Ali, is I'm making them as I'm seeing them. And I was like, this kid's just got it. Like, he's just totally multiverse oriented already. Like, he's come to teach us.
Yeah, I believe my son's, you know, just a little bit older, or, you know, just slightly older, and similar. He has been the one that has taught me the most. And my daughter, similarly, but in a different level, she's very much an emotional teacher, where he's very much, you've got to get over your stuff, Mum, if you're going to be okay, you know. He's very much says it as it is, cannot tell him anything. And he does. He brings in so much. I know he brings in so much wisdom and knowledge. So I understand what you're saying, and I do believe that they have so much healing for humanity just by presence. You know I only really have to stand next to my children or hold them, and I feel so much lighter. I feel so much better, you know. And the younger the children that I see that come in, the more I feel they've got to tell. The more they've got to show, the more they've got to tell. And it's just beautiful to watch it unfold naturally and not be dampened down by rules or structures or systems or conditioning. And watching the actual natural evolution of the child is just fascinating. It's fascinating. It's one of the greatest things I've ever been able to do on this planet, is just watch the natural evolution of the child. Naturally watch my son just stop breastfeeding when he wanted to. Naturally watch him move out from co-sleeping when he wanted to. Watch my daughter move into different elements of self-awareness when she was ready to do it. So it's been a very beautiful thing to witness for me, and that's actually really helped me in my practice too, because having the knowledge and the wisdom of the child teach me as to become more whole has actually allowed me to be a better practitioner and a better server, or a better activator, right, for what it is that I'm destined to do. And I adore that. Yeah,
it's beautiful. I think they kind of open us into really listening more, don't they? Like, we don't, you know, we sort of are taught to scurry around trying to be heard. and we need to be able to listen more deeply, really, to what we need ourselves first of all, and to what the children need. What do people really need on this planet? You know, it's like we're in this society where it's, we just do it because it's always done, right? You know, I look at my husband, kind of, you know, the way he cooks certain foods and the way he does certain things. Like, why do you do that? And it's like, well, that's how my mum does it. You know, it's like, without question, it's like, not deviate, you know, just because it was always done that way doesn't always mean it's the right way. And if we look at the bigger analogy in terms of politics and our governance system and all that, I don't want to go down a rabbit hole, but I mean, I do believe that we are supposed to be here to really listen to what the children have to say, because they're coming in from that beautiful, innocent mindset, and they really say it like it is. They don't pussyfoot around. They don't bring in the unnecessary sort of, I guess, politeness, or they don't hold back. If they want something, they say it. If they, you know, if something doesn't resonate, they'll tell you, you know. It's if a child reacts to something in the world around them, then what is that? Why are they having that reaction? I think we could learn so much more.
We can
listen.
And I love that you said if we listen, because I find that to be able to hear that child's wisdom, or to be able to hear that child's calling, or to be able to hear that child's heart, we have to be able to hear ourselves. And to be able to hear ourselves means that we can hear others. Otherwise, I feel that hearing, or that knowledge that they're destined to bring through, sometimes could be suppressed because they're not heard. And as a child, that you just want to feel loved and you want to feel heard. And so as the adult, we must first really love ourselves. And it's okay, you know, like, so love ourselves deeply. That was my biggest lesson in life, learning that it's okay to love yourself. Love yourself deeply and hear what you need, and hear where your boundaries are, and hear what your nourishments and desires are requiring. And then that allows us to really open up and hear the child, hear the friend, hear the partner, to be able to then take hold of the wisdom that's being offered to us in that moment and actually activate it or do something with it. I love that you say that, because it's very on point around, we have to listen to ourselves. Yeah,
I think because so many of us weren't heard as children, I think that we owe it to our inner child, or our little inner innocent, really, don't we, to allow that. And that's so much magic unfolds in that. I have the word minerals being shouted at me, so I need to talk about minerals. And I'm seeing like all these like sparkly minerals in the earth, so we need to talk about the minerals. So I work primarily from a consciousness level. So if a remedy or something needs to come into a session, the consciousness of it will just connect, like the consciousness of a plant spirit or a crystal or something like that will come in and bring its medicine. But how did you sort of start working with minerals, and what's your take on sort of their role in healing?
Well, when you step into the world of medicine, naturopathic medicine or alternative medicine, what we understand is that everything on the earth is made of minerals, and we are not separate from the earth, and the earth is not separate from us. And so when something's out of alignment with us, the first place we really need to have a look at is the minerals. And the one thing that we need to survive as a human, like in a physical body, is oxygen. So how are those minerals actually interplaying with the oxygen in our body? Because if we're not using those minerals effectively, we can't actually make energy and use our oxygen properly. So your question was, how did I get introduced to the minerals? Well, that on a scientific space was my introduction when I stepped into medicine and said, I'm ready, show me what I need to know. And then I've been asking that all the time. And then I'm spending a lot of time learning from a beautiful mentor in America at the moment, deeply learning about how science and spirit is bringing those minerals into the cellular level and what they're actually destined to do at both levels. And when we look at functional testing around the minerals, we can see, you know, the more feminine, the more masculine, where those minerals have actually been raised in trauma or where they've been suppressed in not being heard, and what that then is looking like at a functional level. But those minerals tell a story of not just, okay, well, this is my dis-ease, this is my condition in my physical space, but the minerals are telling the story of, well, this is my story of my emotions. This is my story of my trauma, or this is my story of my blocks. And I love to see that, and then how that fits into the chakra system, because that's black and white, right? You can't ignore the black and white testing. But I love that it gives the whole picture of what's actually happening. And then we look at the minerals in the blood as well. You know, like if someone's been told they're anemic, it's because they're looking at the blood. They're not looking at the tissue and what's actually really going on in the tissue. So, Alex, just pausing there, my internet's telling it's unstable. Are you okay?
Can you froze for a second, but you're all right, I think. So it was maybe if someone's told they're anemic was the bit. So
yes. So if someone's told that they're anemic, it's because in the blood they look like they don't have enough iron, but in the tissues they probably have way too much iron. And this is where, when you talk about protocols and procedures and boxes and things like that in modern medicine, a lot of the time people are getting more and more unwell, and the pressure on the healthcare system is getting greater and greater and greater. So the people that are seeing at the coalface, seeing these people day in and day out, they don't have time. They don't have the, what's the word I'm trying to use? They don't have that freedom so much to go and look outside of what they have to know. And it's in the looking outside and the searching for the truth and the looking for the things that we know we don't know, that we often find the cause of what's really going on. So the minerals, for me, in helping anybody, is always where we have to start too, because if you think of our system, the minerals start at the base chakra. Yeah. Right, that's where they incarnate at. You know, they build the spine, they build the bones. It's the information center of our body, and without those minerals being balanced and on point, what happens is we start to get oxidative stress in the body. We start to get inflammation. We start to get fatigue, and a lot of the times we'll be branded with a label of this is wrong with you, that's wrong with you, when in actual fact you may just have a mineral dysregulation. And your need to step back into being in alignment with the earth's minerals and using your oxygen effectively is really all that you need. And so I find that brings me back into alignment a lot of the time. I mean, yes, there are different herbs and different homeopathics that people will need for their specific stuff, but at it like anything, if you haven't got a solid foundation in which to build upon, everything up here is just a little bit wavered. Yeah. So the mineral kingdom is very, very powerful. It's very powerful because it's also showing us, if we go back in and we have a look at Steiner's philosophy and we look at the Kabbalah system, the Kabbalah tree of life, you know, and we look at how those minerals fit into the planetary the planetary vortexes and the planetary solar systems. It's just mind-blowing to think that we are that, and we lose sight of it and we don't understand it, and that is where we start to get off track.
That's it. We're stardust, aren't we? We're of the earth and we're of the stars, and we have it all in our physical matrix, our physical body. We're elemental, you know.
We are.
We're part of all of that. I find it so fascinating, you know, when you think about that. Often you realize that the answers are often so much simpler than we think. You know, people running around on 10 different pharmaceutical medications with all these different issues, and you know that they take one for one symptom and then they have the side effects, so they have to take the other for the side effects, and then it becomes this snowball. And especially in America, you see so many people just living on statins and all kinds of medications, and then the kidneys give out or another part of the body. It's like a system overload. Whereas actually just making a few changes with your food and looking at your minerals, looking at the elements of the body, looking at your emotions can often make massive changes, and oftentimes overnight for people. So and it's cheaper, but this is the thing, people often say, oh, I can't afford organic veg, but it's cheaper than being on medication for the rest of your life, isn't it?
Yes. And, and I so love that, because time and time again, you will hear the financial side becomes the barrier to actually people feeling well. And my answer to that is always this: you can choose to spend a little more upfront and get yourself well and have your whole life of longevity and love and wellness and health, or you can just stay maintaining this state of I'm not great and humming under the frequency line for the rest of your life, because you can spend the money now and get well, or you can continue spending it for the rest of your life. So I agree. There are a few things that in my personal life I just blanket knows, like I will not use anything that's not organic. There's a big stigma around, well, is it really organic or is it not organic? And to me, that also is just a distraction from what's really going on. And the food itself carries a vibration. And I know if I'm to eat, say, a punnet of organic blueberries versus a punnet of blueberries that's not organic, you can absolutely feel the difference in your body. Yeah. You can see the difference in your body when it comes out the other end too, So, and really good markers for you to understand, really, am I getting well? Am I getting better? Is have a look at your sleep. Like, there's really 5 key areas. Like, have a look at your sleep. What's your sleep doing? Have a look at your bowels. What are your bowels doing? What's your mood like? What's your energy like? Yeah, and what's your environment like? If you have to do something every day that you hate, imagine what's happening on the inside. So it's really about having a look at those areas of your life and saying, well, what do I need to shift? What do I need to do differently? Where do I need to reach out for support? Where can I just change the way I'm thinking of something? And just even at that level, without even getting right into a condition or a disease, is enough to make a change. And when you start to make a change and you start to see something shift, you want to do more. You're like, show me more, give me more, like I say often, show me what I need to know. Show me everything I know I don't know, and
always question, right? Keep questioning.
Absolutely.
Keep searching.
Absolutely.
Curiosity.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love you. And what have you got coming up for you, honey? Have you got any projects that you're working on at the moment?
I am. I'm just downloading the 13 sacred codes of the Innate Healer, and I'll be presenting that soon. And I'm just entering into a shared space, actually, on a platform with other healers, where we're going to be doing live calls and healings. And then there's a whole other level where you can just dive right in there and get educated and get activated and integrated with different modalities. So my whole work in that space is on energy, understanding how you can start to amp up your energy so that you can pleasure yourself more. And on my personal level here in my business, I'm actually really wanting to, my goal in my business is to get people to understand that they're more than just their physical body, and that it's time for them to take a little bit of responsibility and accountability for themselves too, and stop searching outside of themselves. So yes, I have courses, and I have a Facebook page and Facebook group where I'm constantly doing masterclasses and free workshops and things like that. In the group at the moment, we're just running a 7-day. I'm posting all the foods with blessings and recipes so that people can have a bit more inspiration around getting dinners for their families and things like that.
What's the group called? So people
it's Luminous Lifestyles Collective on Facebook. So that's my business name, Luminous Lifestyles, and Luminous Lifestyles Collective is the group, is the Facebook group. It's a free group. And then my Facebook page is just Luminous Lifestyles.
And have you got a website as well for your?
I do. It's just about to be made over, but I do have one. It's just luminouslifestyles.com.
And Cindy, for international people, do you do online international sessions as well?
I do. I do. I already consult with quite a few people over in the US, and so we just do online consultations, and it's great actually because America has some amazing products. If I need to prescribe, it's actually comes straight from America, so that's easy. They have all the labs we can run all the tests through too. So I actually send my Australian tests to America because I love the lab. So yes, and anywhere in the world, really, we can do anything. Technology makes it possible for anyone to do anything. You know, New Zealand, I have a few patients, and even in Australia, remotely, I have more patients remotely than I do right here. So, yeah, it's very possible.
It's brilliant, isn't it? Like technology, people, you know, over here, obviously, I've been moaning about 5G because they've switched it on. And before we had the started recording the conversation, I was talking about how I've been feeling the microcurrent of 5G in my body. So this is one side of technology that is a little bit, I suppose, detrimental and can be a little bit downright scary, right, when we think about it. But I always say that everything has a flip side. And, so much now I see so many people using technology for good. And I find that whenever we have something that's kind of coming up or, that may not be for our highest good, or that we worry about it, it's like never go interfere around any of it, because there's always a flip side. And I know that with the 5G thing, I've been seeing, so my healing system, and I think your 13 codes that you're bringing through is part of this, right? My healing system works on like vortex mathematics and the kind of 0 point unconditional love frequency, and that it kind of incorporates sacred geometry and symbolism, and that offsets the effects of the 5G. And I've been sort of using myself as usual as the guinea pig. The universe does this to me. Here, let's zap you with a microcurrent and see what you'll do with it. What do you do now? Now you've got nothing to stop it coming into your energy field. So I've been experimenting with that, and I've been experimenting with crystals and minerals as well here, in terms of there's a wonderful stone called shungite, which is really amazing at absorbing radiation and offsetting that. So I'm finding that from my perspective, when we come out of the good, bad, and the right, wrong, and the dualistic perspective, you start to see that there's this new field of potential opening within every human being. And I find that's happening within our bodies, it's happening with our consciousness, it's happening within our mindset. And when you've got technology that is harmful or detrimental, we're now channeling or bringing through these ancient technologies, some of them galactic technologies, that are actually really beneficial to offset the effects of the negative. And I find, the message I keep getting about it is that not to worry about the 5G. I think it's important to put this message out there. I'm going to do a separate video on it actually and take people through a process, but not to worry too much about that, because it's actually part of the shake up and the wake up that's happening planet wide, right? And people, we're having it politically, we're having it where, secrets are coming to light, all kinds of injustices are coming to light. We've got the Me Too movement, all of the pedophile rackets, and look at politics. No, everyone's like, wow, this is how they run the country. So all this stuff's coming out into the open now, and people are starting to question. But we're also going to see it in our own bodies, right? Where you can't avoid it. If they're using a frequency that's now coming into our energy field, and we're feeling it, and you can't escape it by going into your house and closing the door, it's a wake up. It's like come on people, now you can't avoid it. What are you going to do about it? And people, I think, are starting to go, actually, this is not okay. This is not right. What do we need to do to bring this back to, first of all, fairness and safety, and just awareness that we're all connected on some level, but So yeah, I'm finding it very interesting. I think all this stuff with your work with minerals in the body and all of that, and then the energetic work, all of it is so needed, because our world is changing and the technology is changing. And as the technology speeds up and is made more available to us, we need to be aware of the physical and the energetic and the health factors, and then start to get curious about other things. And as you and I know, spirit and science are not separate things. They are one and the same. So I find it really exciting. Your work is amazing. Is there anything else you can tell us about these 13 codes that you're bringing through?
Well, like you were just saying, I'm sure you were speaking from you were channeling my body then, is that they are in sacred geometry, you know, and it's the anchoring in of the symbols in the sacred geometry from that 0 point, or that unconditional love, that we can actually see the wholeness of who we are and understand that whilst we do have the 5G, let's say, for example, that at the same degree we can rise to the love frequency to be able to create a dualistic pole at opposite ends, and in the middle we find the gratitude, and it's in the middle that we find the that 0 point. And so the 13 codes of the Innate Healer are going to be anchored in sacred geometry and ancient wisdom of symbols. And what it will be is it will be a healing platform. So you will come in and you will activate one code and integrate one code at a time, so that you can be your own remedy. You know, you don't want to be reliant on, I'm probably going to do myself out of a lot of business here, but you don't want to be reliant on an external source for the rest of your life to keep you well. You know, your health is your number one commodity. Without it, what have we got? You know, so the more power people have and the more power people can get back into their own innate healer, because we all are one, bring all of that power back in and start to really trust themselves and open themselves up in love, so that we can match those non-native frequencies, because our love is a native frequency, right? And match those non-native frequencies, we're going to be fine. Like, we're going to be okay, and we're destined to evolve. So without the nudge or the gigantic lightning bolt, as you call it, you know, running through us, are we really ever going to shift? Some of us will, some of us will fall away, and those of us that are in between will get the gentle nudge or the big nudge and go, well, hey, I've got to do something about this, right? So to the equal degree, they will rise to meet this non-native frequency with their own innate frequency, which is the love of the 0 point of gratitude. So yes, so that's exciting for me, and it's taking its time, as I've been instructed by my guides to take my time. So I will let you know when that's up and running. I have them down. They're all down. It's just bringing in all of the wisdom around them now to, and then obviously getting them on the platform to share. That's the bigger part.
You've got to birth it first, don't you? And you're going through a birth process with it. And I had that with Precious Wisdom as well. I think I've met other people. It's like you and I and many other people I know are sort of working on these similar frequencies, but bringing it through in a very different way. And it's almost like we're flooding the planet with this technology now, and it won't be out, you know, they can't kill us all. I don't know who they are, but, you know, if you think about, you know, those that have a vested interest in making a lot of money from people being ill, I think there's too many people bringing through these amazing high technology frequency energetic transmissions and healings now, that we are evolving. We're evolving at a really rapid rate, and you can't stop progress.
You can't, hence why the 5G comes in. It's going to make it faster, quicker, easier for everybody to access the information. However, to the same degree, we must rise. I did a post about this in my group the other day, you know, about the frequency, because a lot of people are going into fear around it, and going into fear around it is actually going to create everything that it's destined to create. So we must move into that frequency, as you speak of, that 0 point, that unconditional love of self, to be able to then emanate that and luminize that out into the external world.
It's an exciting time on the planet. We can't say it's not interesting, can we? It's
absolutely not. Absolutely.
See it as chaotic, or you can choose to see it as exciting and unpredictable, a lot of it, but in a positive way. You know, what surprises are around the corner next.
And in that moment is the greatest space to create from. You know, when you're not sure and you don't have that certainty, and you don't have that don't have that boundary, right? You don't have the knowing. It's just, oh, what is this about? It's the curiosity. It's the change. That's where the creation is, I believe, at its greatest.
Yeah, chaos is creation, right? We think about the Big Bang.
Yeah.
It's chaos, man. And that's the feminine. That's the divine feminine.
On the border of chaos, you will find transition. Chaos and order.
Absolutely. I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Oh, Cindy, it's been so amazing talking to you, honey. Thank you so, so, so much for being on my show and for telling us all about your wisdom and your amazing knowledge and all of your insights and abilities, and just for gracing us with your beautiful presence inside and out. And so just to remind viewers, it's lumouslifestyles.com. Is that right?
Yes.
And I will share all the links below. So if anyone wants to contact Cindy, you'll find all her details in the wording underneath this video. Please like, comment, share, subscribe. We're creating free content here to help raise the vibration of our beloved planet. And I do respond to any comments below. I try to respond personally to as many comments below as I can, and join the community. I'm planning on creating a community around the channel as well soon. So thank you so much for tuning in here, for watching, for being part of the show, because as this show is all about the viewers and sharing this knowledge with the viewers and getting amazing people like Cindy out into the world so that she can share all her wisdom. So
pleasure.
Thank you so much. Beautiful.
Thank you. Oh, you're so welcome. And thank you for giving me the opportunity to connect with you and share with you. And for all of those that are going to be watching and listening, for those people, if they want to, I'm happy to open up a 30-minute free consult for anyone that wants to jump in. So I'll send you a link for that, Alex. And then if anybody would like to share on that level, I'll offer a 30-minute space for them in a consultation type arena where we can nut out a way forward for them. Did you like that?
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Yeah.
So funny. That's awesome. Okay.
Yeah, absolute pleasure.
I'll share that below as well. Oh, I'm getting goosebumps. Amazing.
Thank you for having me. I'm very blessed. I really am. I'm very humbled that we've connected again, because it's been many years. And I'm deeply grateful for your teachings and for the activation that you've given me. So that's part of my world now in every single way. So thank you. And those that you're sharing with, I know are going to be deeply affected in the most powerful, profound, and concise way by having your presence. So bless you.
Oh, thank you, beautiful. Thank you so much. And to all of you watching, thank you so much, and so many blessings to you all.